Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
After years of investigations, a lawyer for Donald Trump says the Manhattan District Attorney won't be bringing charges against the former president. Trump attorney Ronald Fischetti says he spoke with Manhattan DA Cy Vance's team last week about the charges they were considering. Vance has been investigating the Trump Organization and Trump's finances for years. But according to Fischetti, the DA currently has no plans to charge Trump himself. Speaking to Politico Monday, Fischetti said members of Vance's team told him that only charges against the Trump Organization and its individual employees were being considered. The charges are related to alleged failures to pay taxes on corporate benefits and perks. According to Fischetti, the team also told him that they have no charges related to allegations of hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The Trump lawyer called the amount of charges crazy, saying to Politico that the charges are so small that he can't believe he's going to have to try a case like this. Cases of the CCP Virus Delta variant are rising in California. So far, it appears to be more transmissible. NTD's Brandon Drey has more on what public health officials are saying.
Several countries around the world, including Australia and Israel, have already implemented new lockdown measures due to the Delta variant of COVID-19. Now, California public health officials are monitoring the variant in close detail. Coronavirus cases are increasing in California from the Delta variant of the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19, that was first detected in India. The California Department of Public Health is reporting a 10% increase from last month after officials analyzed this variant of concern. Los Angeles County recently confirmed 123 new cases emerged and are warning residents of a possible outbreak.
We're especially concerned about this variant because it appears to be highly transmissible. That is, it is more contagious than even the other highly contagious COVID variants.
Dr. Ferrer also notes this variant may cause more severe infections than other variants after a recent Scottish study was published. The World Health Organization is cautioning both vaccinated and unvaccinated people to continue practicing social distancing measures and mask wearing as the Delta variant becomes increasingly dominant in the United States. But other professionals are not as supportive. Dr. Ven Gupta of the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation tweeted last week, and the message from the World Health Organization is confusing. He wrote, "We have data that being fully vaccinated protects against severe outcomes from the Delta variant, and new data contradicting this claim has not emerged."
While these numbers are very small, and it would be very early to make conclusions about the danger the Delta variant poses, the data does support the protection that's offered by the vaccine. And it suggests that those fully vaccinated who became infected experienced relatively mild illness.
Now, as of right now, no deaths have been reported in Los Angeles County, and we have yet to see any widespread scientific consensus that this new variant will be more severe than the original strain. But new data is showing that the Delta variant is now the third most common in California. Brandon Drey, NTD News, Los Angeles.
A new education bill is passing the Arizona House. Students will be learning about people who fled communism. A state lawmaker who fled communism himself explains why it's important.
It was the fall of Saigon in 1975, and 12-year-old Kwan Nguyen boarded a U.S. Air Force cargo jet with nothing but a small bag of clothing. 46 years later, he is now a member of the Arizona House. When the House debated a bill that would mandate schools to teach the tragedy of communism, one of Nguyen's Democratic colleagues claimed that white nationalism is a greater threat than communism.
So let me tell you something about white nationalism. White nationalism didn't drown 250,000 Vietnamese in the South China Sea. The communists did. White nationalism did not execute 86,000 South Vietnamese at the fall of Saigon. Communists did. White nationalism did not put me here. Communism did.
The education bill passed the State House last Friday. It requires public schools to teach how communism and totalitarianism conflict with American principles. And teachers have to share stories of people who fled communism. The state has to come up with new K-12 civic education standards. They have to center around the original intent of the country's founding documents and teach Americans the responsibility of defending and preserving liberty.
I lost most of my cousins, my family members, due to communism. If we don't stand up to teach communism to our children, we'll lose this country. So, sir, don't mock me.
Republican lawmaker Judy Burgess says the new civic standards will prepare students to be civically responsible and knowledgeable adults. And another Republican lawmaker, Jake Hoffman, says the reality is that one of the greatest threats facing the globe today is communism and totalitarianism. The Arizona Senate will soon be looking at the bill.
The Supreme Court today refused to take up a transgender bathroom case. In doing so, the court allowed a lower court decision to stand, which ruled that transgender students can use bathrooms that correspond to their gender identity.
The Supreme Court declined to hear the case, leaving in place a lower court's ruling that the Gloucester County School Board had acted unlawfully in barring Gavin Grimm from using the boys' bathroom. Grimm was born female and identifies as male. Gloucester High School first allowed him to use the boys' bathroom. Following complaints from parents, the school gave him the option of using a private bathroom, but Grimm refused and sued the school board in 2015. The case was set to be argued at the Supreme Court in 2017, but was dropped when the Trump administration reversed Obama-era guidance regarding bathroom access for transgender students. The court order shows that Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito would have taken the case. The Fourth Circuit ruling does not set a national legal precedent, but it does apply to the 5 states within its jurisdiction: Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. Earlier this year, the Virginia Department of Education provided model policies for school boards, allowing students to use restrooms and pronouns they identify with. Lin Lin, NTD News.
Yesterday, around 5 p.m., an unidentified male opened fire in Times Square, allegedly missed his target and hit a U.S. Marine in the back. The shooter fled the scene and is still at large. NTD's Jason Perry has the story.
A man pulled out a gun in broad daylight and fired at another man. The alleged shooter is seen here fleeing the scene. According to reports, the shooting ensued during an argument between 2 street vendors. The bullet missed and hit a tourist in the back. The shooting victim was later identified as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. This comes a month after another man opened fire at Times Square and shot 2 women and a 4-year-old girl. We spoke to some people at Times Square to see if they feel safe.
I just feel it's the same as it was 15 years ago. More cops are around though, more security. So that's a good thing.
Yes, with the police here, we are always safe.
You know, the center, as far as I know, the center like Manhattan, to me, seems safe.
Republican nominee for New York City mayor and founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa, went to Times Square and commented on Sunday's shooting. He believes the spike in crime in New York City is a direct result of defunding the police. The NYPD budget was cut by $1 billion, which eliminated the undercover street crime unit.
They used to prowl this area of Times Square in vehicles, Federal Express vehicles, yellow cabs. They were not identifiable as 5-0. They didn't ride around in police cars as they do now. Imagine this. They have them in an undercover police car in uniform. Anybody in their right mind who's up to committing crime can spot a uniformed police officer a mile away.
Sliwa said because certain crimes are not prosecuted harshly, it emboldens criminals to carry weapons that they would not normally carry if the punishment was greater.
And as the city is recovering, resurrecting itself, this is the gateway to the world. This is the most recognizable area of New York City. If there continues to be reports of violent crime, of shootings, of stabbings, of fights, who's going to want to come here?
The tourist was hit by a stray bullet right outside of this Marriott hotel at Times Square on 45th Street and 7th Avenue. He is expected to survive. Curtis Sliwa believes if he is elected, he can prevent these kinds of things from happening by increasing police presence. Jason Perry, NTD News, New York.
And a long line wrapped around a theater in Stamford, Connecticut over the weekend. That's as eager audience members waited for the doors to open to see Shen performing arts. There, many people expressed hope after a year of lockdown. Check it out.
As the U.S. slowly recovers from the pandemic, Shen starts its 2021 tour with 3 sold-out performances this weekend at Stamford, Connecticut's Palace Theater.
Wonderful. Yeah, very beautiful. I love that it's done in vignettes and tells the story. It brings a lot, we didn't know anything about it coming to see it, and it sets it up and then shows us the story. It's it's very well done.
Audience members say it's an uplifting and educational experience.
Oh, I've been smiling the entire time. Just the colors, the flow, the story, all of it.
I think the singer was amazing. The singer was very, very good. The storyline, how it's explained, for somebody like us that never experienced something like this is very, very important, the way they were explaining it.
I think several of the stories that went through what I'll say is the intervention of a deity into the day-to-day just gives a lot of us hope.
Shen Yun Performing Arts' mission is to revive 5,000 years of Chinese culture, a divinely inspired culture from before communism took over.
It's a very divine culture, and it's a very old and ancient culture, and it should not be forgotten. It basically creates awareness with Shen Yun that ancient Chinese culture should come back, and it should challenge the communist regime as well, and maybe someday it will prevail over communism in China.
I think also understanding what I'll say is the origins of your culture had just helped to bring people together. You need to have more shows because the West needs to hear the origins of China, not what we just see in movies today.
The performance is returning by popular demand, with 3 more shows at the Palace Theater in July.
Secret documents from the Ministry of Defense containing details of Biden's China strategy and the incident between a British warship and Russian forces have reportedly been found at a bus stop. NTD's Joy Dogood brings us the details.
Over 50 pages of classified documents from the Ministry of Defence have reportedly been found at a bus stop in southern England, with notes in them about the NATO withdrawal from Afghanistan, US President Joe Biden's China strategy, and discussion over how Russia would react to the British warship that sailed near Crimea last week, sparking an incident with Russian forces. That's according to the BBC, which says it's seen the documents. The papers are said to have been found by a member of the public in a soggy heap last Tuesday, a day before the warship incident. Russia said on Wednesday it had fired warning shots and dropped bombs in the path of the ship to chase it out of what it says are its territorial waters, but which the Western world says belongs to Ukraine. Britain rejected Russia's account of the incident. It confirmed the destroyer had sailed through what it said were Ukrainian waters, describing its path as innocent passage in accordance with international law of the sea. The BBC says the documents suggested the ship's mission was conducted in the expectation that Russia might respond aggressively. The Ministry of Defence said the employee concerned reported the loss of the sensitive documents at the time, but declined to comment further, saying it would be inappropriate. Joy Dogood, NTD News.
Navigating a world of economic madness, you need to have the right guide. What do today's decisions mean for your tomorrow? We ask why. What's the alternative? Uncover the deeper reasons and the hidden influences, and highlight the real opportunities for profit. At NTD Business, we connect the dots for you. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.